Dave Rothenberg is in today. You can hear us, as always, in over 400 markets nationwide, and that's just a wonderful platform for us. And the phone number is always 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Time now for a little Straight Talk, and it's always brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. We're going to get into basketball. John Morant has decided to, in the biggest shock of all shocks, forego his junior and senior seasons. But we start with a little bit of baseball, and there is mass concern from Yankee Nation. I mean, what is happening here with this team? They're sitting here at 2-4. They look awful. They're playing guys you didn't know who they were a couple weeks ago. Calm down. The Yankee fan needs to absolutely calm down. They will be fine. You're 6 games in to 162. Yet all you have is we're 2-4. We're falling behind. It doesn't look right. We're losing to teams that we shouldn't be losing to. You're right. You're losing to teams you shouldn't be losing to. But let's be honest here. They're still going to wind up as a good baseball team. It's not a football team that lost the first 5 games of a season. This is not the football team that started out 2-4 in a season. You know what this is the equivalent of? A football team that had a bad first drive. That's what this is. That's where we are. This is a bad first drive. You turn the ball over on downs at the 48. You're 6 games in. There's no reason to be concerned. There's no reason to panic. Now we'll get into the Mets in a moment. And let's make that moment right now. What we have on the other side of town with the New York Mets, and watching the Yankees struggle at 2-4, and to see the Mets at 5-1, home opener taking place just moments from now at Citi Field, is unbelievable. And I think it is fair to sit here and say, and I think it's unequivocal, and you can call and argue, and again, the number is 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I would sit here and tell you that you can have Blake Snell, you can have Justin Verlander, you can have Max Scherzer. In one game, the guy, the answer, the pitcher is Jacob deGrom. We had so many conversations last year with, he's very good, but he's playing in meaningless games. Yes, he hasn't allowed more than 3 runs in almost a full season. And yes, his strikeouts are off the charts, but, he's a great pitcher. He wins a Cy Young. Can he duplicate? Can he duplicate? He's better now. He's better now than he was last year. So the Mets, Jacob deGrom, and we'll get to the Phillies and the Nationals and the Dodgers and the Astros who've gotten off to a slow start, and the Red Sox who are not good right now, although they did get a win last night. Let's take a listen, though. Mark Teixeira, our ESPN Major League Baseball analyst, was on with Golick and Wingo, and he is explaining to us how difficult it is to hit one Jacob deGrom right now.
The way his ball was moving last night, he may never give up another run. I mean, that was an impressive outing. Hitting a home run was fun, too. But Jacob deGrom, the way he's manipulating pitches right now in and out of the strike zone, it's tough to hit him.
Because he's awesome. That's why. And he was awesome last year. 13 innings, no runs allowed, strikes out 14, a career high last night. More from Teixeira. How could the Mets potentially make it to the postseason?
It may not be a world championship. It may not even be division winners. But if they can win enough games, if they can stay healthy, I think they can sneak into the playoffs. And then once you get to the playoffs, a lot of good things can happen. I think the big question for the Mets is, number one, obviously the health. But some of these young hitters, Alonso, Rosario, if these guys can continue to get better, and if you can get anything from Cespedes later in the season, then the Mets have a lineup that you can really put against the Phillies and some of those other teams.
It certainly is exciting. I mean, to be a Mets fan, to be looking at what the potential is with this club, it certainly is exciting. Other teams that have gotten off to really, really terrific starts, Philadelphia. Now, the Phillies, they lose one last night, but still, I mean, with Bryce Harper and the additions there, and Gabe Kapler's really kind of, it looks like they've taken that to the next level. If you're a Phillies fan, you got to be excited. If you're a Nats fan, you got to be a little bit concerned. Right? You lose the best player that you've ever seen He stays in division. You got to see him 19 times. He's a cult figure already in Philadelphia. Washington, very slow start. They did pick up a win, though, yesterday. What else have we seen early on in Major League Baseball season? The Dodgers hit a lot of home runs. The Dodgers have a ton of power, and that is a team that's going. I mean, look, they've gone to the World Series last 2 years, and yes, if you had to pick a team to come from the National League right now, you'd probably say the Dodgers, and that's without a healthy Clayton Kershaw as of yet. But Kenley Jansen's still a horse at the back end of that bullpen, and we know the talent that the Dodgers certainly do have. But the Yankees are the story, guys, and I will sit here and I will tell you 2 reasons why you should be fine about the Yankees. It's 6 games into the season, which is comical. You're 6 games into a season. And number 2, what's the Red Sox record right now? As panicked as you are, you're a Yankees fan. You're 2-4. The sky is falling. I'm playing guys I never heard of. I'm on my 3rd string shortstop, right? Didi Gregorius, he can't last. He's out. That's number 1. I got Troy Tulowitzki. He's on the IL, which I'm not comfortable calling it yet, but I'm moving in that direction to call it the IL. And now he's out. So now Gleyber Torres is going to have to play shortstop for me. And all these things, and the sky is falling, and we can't figure out a way to make it work, and all these problems and mass hysteria and cats and dogs and the whole thing. And what's the Yankees record? They're 2-4. And what's the Red Sox record? Realistically, probably the only team that can compete to win this division with the Yankees. What's their record? Yeah, that's right. They're 2-5. So let's calm down. We are at the infancy stages. And there are certain teams that when you hear their fan base, you just kind of shake your head. When their fan base complains, you say, I don't want to hear you complain. I don't believe in your complaints. And at the end of the day, you're going to be fine. And that, my friends, is the definition of the Yankees. They will be fine. They will be fine. So you can panic about it now. And I know that Stephen A. is probably, all concerned about his 2-4 Yankees. But they will be fine. And that's Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network. So where else do we go here? We'll get into the NBA draft in a couple of minutes and John Morant and all that good stuff. But I think it's fun. Baseball is just starting. We're a week in. Most fans who thought their team was going to be a certain way are sitting here saying, yeah, it's about right. But how about if you're an Orioles fan? How about if you're an Orioles fan right now and you look at it and you say, wait a minute, we're 4-2? Or the Blue Jays and you say, wait a minute, we actually have a respectable team right here? I mean, baseball, I get it. It's a long journey. Here's the difference. You can go to a baseball game with, children, friends, significant others, whoever you want. You can go, hang out, baseball game, enjoy it, right? You could just go and take in the day and maybe even get there a little bit late, have a beer or two, have a hot dog, 8th inning, it's 4:30, you want to go, you can go. It's the beauty of what baseball is. It's the national pastime is what baseball is. It's different. It's different than every other sport. Could you imagine going to a football game and saying, you know what, if we get there at 117, that's fine. That's no issue. No, baseball's not like that. Baseball's kind of, you go, you take it in, you absorb it all, you go home, and you do it the next day. Baseball's that old friend that never, ever, ever goes away. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I can't wait to hear from the Yankee fan that is in sheer panic and there's pandemonium about the lack of success with this team right now. Let's see. Danny in Virginia. Danny, lead us off. You're on ESPN Radio.
Yes, I'm a Yankee fan from Richmond, Virginia, and have been a Yankee supporter for years. My son's a Red Sox fan, so we've got a good family thing going on. Yeah, it's way too early, 5-6 games into the series, but I just don't understand what's going on. Stanton's already on injured reserve. Is that not true?
That is very true.
And who are they playing this weekend? The Washington Nationals?
I know they play the Orioles, and then I think I don't know who they play this weekend. I know they had the Astros coming up at some point, but the Orioles they start a set with the Orioles today, and that's in Baltimore.
But yeah, it's much too early to think about what's going on and all the money that's in the sport and Pedroia's on injured reserve and all. But nothing's no better than those Yankees and Fenway fans, and just come to say I have no idea in what direction we're going here, but baseball is very early in this season. That new football league has gone defunct. And let's think about this Final Four going on with those Virginia Cavaliers. But that's all I want to say. I've enjoyed your show this morning. Sorry I missed Stephen A., but I've enjoyed what's going on with the Yankees.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you, Danny. I certainly appreciate it. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Stephen A. will be back tomorrow. He's just a day. Everybody needs a day, and Stephen A. is taking that day in this one. But baseball, again, it's so comforting. Like, other sports are so stressful. At least that's the way I see it. Other sports are so stressful. You sit down, you watch a game, you're heated, you're emotional. Baseball, it's like you put your feet up, you read a book, you glance up. Yeah, it's exciting, it's interesting. Now I can read a chapter. Then you go back to it. Then you can read a chapter. I'm going to do this entire show today just to show how multi-talented I am as I'm watching the Mets game. I have the Mets game on right over here on two beautiful TVs, the Mets game on, and I'm going to watch the Mets beat the Nationals, and you and I are going to talk throughout the afternoon. Sal and Queens. Sal, you're on ESPN Radio.
What's going on, Dave? Thanks for taking my call. I call the Rothenberg and Canty and Humpty show all the time.
Right.
Figured I'd give you a call. I'm respecting the work you're doing with Stephen A. I just wanted to mention, you just mentioned you're watching the game, though, and right into my point. For Jacob deGrom, the performance he had last night, when they introduced him to Citi Field for the first time this year, I think it was about 4 or 5 minutes long of just clapping and cheering, the announcers not saying a word. I'm sure Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez were upstanding as well. I mean, the respect that this guy has, not only with Met fans, but across the league, like it's almost like when you're facing against him, just be prepared for double-digit strikeouts. Like, I really do think he's going to have a better year than he did last year, because now he got paid, no uncertainty, full year of confidence. He's locked in. He knows he's the Cy Young winner. He's going for it again. Do you think he's going to win it again in the NL, or do you think they're going to give it to somebody else?
I mean, if he pitches
right
like
now,
this,
I think he's the gambling favorite to be this. I think it's still Max Scherzer.
you know, the whole thing about DeGrom, and thanks for the call, Sal, the whole thing about DeGrom was he was so good last year. His ERA was 1.7. He won 10 games and still won the Cy Young. Can he possibly be better? And everyone said, no, he'll win more games, but he can't be better. Through 2 games, and I know it's very early, he's better. He is better this year than he was last year. Jacob in Tampa is on ESPN Radio. What's up, Jake?
Not too much, Dave. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it.
You know, long-time Cubs fan, and I completely agree with you. You can't freak out early. Usually I'm one of these guys who says you don't even want to look at the standings until the All-Star break. But when you do have your fears come to fruition in the first week, the bullpen, and in my opinion, the overrated Joe Madden, I do think there is some time there where you have to sit back and be like, well, maybe these things that you are fearing going into the season are happening, and it's happening early. So, I usually would agree with you, but there are some teams that, you can't win it in the first week, but you can definitely lose it.
Yeah, you cannot. Here's the thing, though. You cannot lose a baseball season in the first week. You can't. If you go 1-6, your season is not over.
I agree with you there.
I mean, the Red Sox were 1-5 going into the game last night. They win. They're 2-5. They're fine.
I mean, when you have a bullpen that keeps blowing games like Chicago, and there's no end in sight in fixing that, that's a real big problem.
Listen, I think you have to trust the brass in Tampa, in Chicago, and believe that they will right this ship as we move towards midway through the season. Again, they're a very talented team, and they want to win, and they spend money, and then I think they'll find a way. So, Jake, I do appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I love it. Baseball calls from all over. Let's go to James in Jersey who wants to talk about the 2-5 Boston Red Sox. James, you're on ESPN Radio.
Dave, before I get to my point about the Red Sox, whoever pays Canty should give him a raise, because that Warriors pick over the Lakers, man, that was a great one.
Yeah, very aggressive. This is what Canty will do. He goes out on limbs, and that's a limb that he went out on for the Warriors to beat the LeBron-less Lakers. Yeah.
Right. Well, let me get to my Red Sox point. I've been a Red Sox fan my whole life since I was 5 years old. Even if the Red Sox don't win another game this entire season, which is crazy, obviously, I'm comfortable with whatever they do this year, as long as the Yankees don't win. We got our championship last year. We celebrated on their field twice. It's good to be a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, but come on, you can't be thrilled with a 2-5 start.
thrilled with it, but hey, listen, it is what it is. Can't cry about it either.
No, long season. Red Sox will be fine. No worries. Red Sox fine. Yankees fine. Now, if you're a team there's if the Orioles were 1-4 or 1-5 right now, you'd say okay, they're done because you knew they were going to be awful, and then they've just kind of followed to that expectation. But with the good teams, I don't think you have anything to worry about. I really don't. Nothing to worry about at all. Let's go to Danny in Philly, and guess what he wants to talk about. What's up, Dan? You're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call there. I just want to say I'm so excited about the Philadelphia Phillies, and they regrouped and got some great players, the catcher, and, of course, Bryce Harper and the guy from
Pittsburgh. It's some kind of off-season, Danny, some kind of off-season.
Yes, it was. I'm just excited, man, and I think Stephen A. Smith a couple of days ago, I was listening to him. I just came back from Florida. He's been in San Diego for 3 weeks, and he started ragging on the basketball players about, he's sick and tired of these guys getting the salaries they get and the excuses that they make. And guys, everyday workers go out 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day and, live paycheck to paycheck. So I was glad to hear Stephen A. Smith talk about that, too. So thanks for taking my call. Looking forward to a great season, baseball season, American League, National League season, and going to watch the ball game.
Yes, also known as baseball season, the American League, the National League. You compile the whole thing, and that is where we are with baseball season, getting ready to really kick in, right? I mean, teams are now having their home openers, and that'll be a thing of the past by the end of this week, and then we get into week 2. But the thing with baseball is, as great as it is, and it's there every day, and you love it, it is a long season. And that's the thing. You can't get too high and you can't get too low. So you watch game after game after game. And even if you're a Mets fan now or a Dodgers fan now, you say, hey, look, we got out to good starts. Or a Rays fan, we got out to a good start. It's monotonous. And it's a forever kind of a season. I mean, this year goes on basically playing 6-7 games a week for 6 full months. So can you fall apart early? You can. But I think there's something kind of cool and special about just every single day. It's always there. Let's go to Seamus in Virginia. Wants to talk about the New York Yankees. What's up, Seamus?
Hey, man, how's it going? So here's the thing. Billy Beane once said, you have 50 games to see what kind of team you have. You got 50 games to tweak it, and then you really have 62 games to compete, right? I think the problem with the Yankees is not that they've got off to a bad start or their record or anything. It's the injuries. It's all the injuries to the everyday players are starting to hit, and that compiles with the Yankees fans' frustration from this past offseason, where the Yankees sat out, bidding on free agents such as Bryce Harper or Manny Machado, who would fill 2 positions that are now empty with the injuries that have hit the team. I'm going to hang up and listen to what you got to say. Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. I mean, you didn't want Machado and you didn't want Bryce Harper. Those were 2 guys that you just thought it was a little bit out of what you wanted to spend and the extent of the deal. And it's just bad coincidence that 4 games into the season, your star young third baseman now suffers a torn labrum, and it looks like there's a real chance that he's going to be out for the entire year. So I get it. I get the frustration there of, we could have had this. But you know what? You can't predict injuries. It's an absolute impossibility to go ahead and say, well, I think this guy's going to get hurt. So if he gets hurt, look, you're already without your starting shortstop if you're the Yankees, right? Didi Gregorius, he's out for maybe the entire season. So now you move into Troy Tulowitzki, and you figure Tulowitzki with Torres and LeMahieu are going to make up, and Andujar, that'll make up. So now Andujar is out, and now Tulowitzki is out, and now Stanton is out. Sometimes you just kind of throw your hands up and you say, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Right? That's the bottom line. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. But I just love having baseball here. And there's a lot that we're going to get into today. So John Morant, he's, worst kept secret. Of course, he was going to come out. He's made it official. He is now coming out. And you know what? And you're going to get a lot of this towards the draft day in late June. And that is, I wonder if a team would realistically think about not taking Zion Williamson and going with John Morant with the top overall selection. Because I'm just saying, and I love Zion, and I think he's going to be a bigger-than-life kind of player at the next level. And there's not a game that you watch him play that you don't think to yourself, he does something that I've never seen before. But I really wonder if when you just forget about the marketing and the shoes and the billion-dollar contracts and all those things, I really wonder if there are teams out there that look at it and say, you know what? If I had the top overall pick, that's a real decision I'd have to make. It's not so slam dunk. Zion, I don't think about anybody else. Is John Morant realistically involved in that conversation? All right, now when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. No, who would want to do that? You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3